Well, hello and welcome to the Movie Paradise Show. I'm your host, Nathanael Molnár, and we're doing the show a little differently here this week. Usually you can catch the Movie Paradise Show live on YouTube Saturdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and usually it's me and our co-host Rob Jacinta. However, Rob could not be here for this week, so I'm doing it solo. But we're going to have exact same discussions. We're going to talk about the exact same things. So let's get right into it with our first topic of Did You Hear? So usually I would present this to Rob, but I'm saying to you, the audience now. Audience, did you hear? A Madam Web movie is coming. So, as we all know, Sony has their shared cinematic universe that they're doing their films on. They just had Venom, they're doing Morbius, they're doing a Venom 2, they've talked about Kraven the Hunter, and a bunch of other movies, pretty much trying to fill the void of making Spider-Man less Spider-Man movies. And one of the ones that they just recently announced that they're looking at doing is a Madam Web movie. Now, I know a lot of you out there probably don't really know what Madam Web is, and to be honest, I don't know too much about Madam Web myself. The most that I'm familiar with Madam Web as the character is from the animated Spider-Man series from the 90s. She was a huge important character in that series, and she was always fascinating whenever she would come into play in that series. Now, I think this is a little bit of a stretch, if you will, for Sony. This is kind of digging deep into their mythology of Spider-Man characters. And I think the principle and the very idea of these standalone movies focusing on Venom, focusing on Morbius, well, I hated Venom, to be completely honest. I think the concept of these movies are interesting. It's almost a little bit like Joker, in a way, where you can take a character and really kind of delve into who they are individually without all this extra baggage surrounding the character. Venom, I don't think, did it the right way at all. But I think going forward, you have the opportunity. Sony has the opportunity to kind of do this sort of deep character dives with these characters. And I think something like Madam Web could be very interesting. Especially when we had something like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which already introduced to the audience this idea of multiple universes and all kind of surrounding the Spider-Man character or characters. And that's very much where Madam Web would come into play. So while I don't really know off the top of my head, what would a Madam Web movie even look like? How would it function? Would it involve characters like Venom and Morbius, or would it be its own thing? While I don't really know all that off the top of my head, I think the concept is there. I think there's something unique about this. Something that could work very well. And while I'm not going to go as far as to say, like, yeah, I'm looking forward and I'm excited for a Madam Web movie, I'm intrigued. And I think there is potential there if Sony actually utilizes that potential. So anyways, what are your thoughts? Are you looking forward to a Madam Web movie? Does that interest you at all? Or do you not really care? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And moving on to our next topic, did you hear, ladies and gentlemen, did you hear that A Quiet Place 2 has wrapped filming? Now, I love A Quiet Place 1. That movie is just phenomenal. John Krasinski's direction, the acting, the suspense, the tension. I've always equated it to being somewhat like a modern day Hitchcock movie. I think the way that they approached that film and what they did with it was just fantastic. And then they announced that they're going to do A Quiet Place 2. Now, my thoughts on sequels are this. I'm not necessarily going to get upset that a sequel is coming. And it's the same philosophy with reboots. I'm not going to get upset that someone's rebooting a movie that I liked or is just even out there. I'm not going to be upset if they make a sequel, because those movies will come and go, and if they're great, they're great, and if they suck, oh well, we've got the original. And that's always just kind of been my philosophy. So if A Quiet Place 2 comes out and it sucks, oh well, I've got Quiet Place 1, that's fine. With that said, I was never really hugely bought into the idea of a sequel to A Quiet Place. I thought it was a great one-shot story. It worked so well and functioned so well for what it was. Do we really need to go back and do more with that world? I didn't really know if we did. But this is a story and a movie that John Krasinski is passionate about, and excited about, and if that's something that he's excited about and that's something that he wants to do, then I want to see it for that purpose because it is something he is passionate about. Even if I don't think necessarily there's a huge narrative purpose for this sequel. But then again, is there really a huge narrative purpose for any sequel? So with A Quiet Place 2, they wrapped filming. It's coming March of 2020. I don't know. I mean, I'm interested, like I said, because John Krasinski's excited about it and he's doing it, and I like him as a filmmaker. He did such a great job with the first one that I want to see what he does next, which coincidentally is Quiet Place 2. Even though I'm not necessarily excited on the prospect solely of there being a sequel. So we'll have to wait and see. The movie's going to come out. I'm sure we'll get some trailers somewhat soon. We're not that far away. We're, maybe 6-7 months? So I'm sure within the next 3 or so months we'll get a trailer. We'll be able to get a sense of what this movie's actually going to be like. But hey, if John Krasinski can turn out a movie that's half as good as the first Quiet Place, then we're going to be in for a great film. So what do you think? Are you excited for A Quiet Place 2? Is that a movie you're looking forward to? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. So we've done our movie news discussions. Now we're moving into a little bit of trailer talk. And this is something I like to talk about, trailers coming out. Every week we get a bunch of trailers, and there's always a few that really stand out that you want to talk about, whether you like them or you didn't like them. So let's kick things off with the first trailer talk for the Birds of Prey movie. So Suicide Squad came out a few years ago in 2016, and Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn was the stand out of that movie. That's who everyone was talking about. Now, I personally hated Suicide Squad with a passion. I hated that movie. But I will say, Margot Robbie's great in that movie. And I love Margot Robbie as an actor. Wolf of Wall Street. She was brilliant in I, Tonya, which got her an Oscar nomination. She's fantastic. And so seeing her as Harley Quinn, that's something I really want to see. I think she's a great fit for the character, and I want her to be able to make her character her own. I just didn't necessarily at all like the movie that surrounded her in Suicide Squad. So the prospect of having her in her own movie doing something completely different, separate from Suicide Squad, where you could really delve in deeper into who Harley Quinn is, that was something that was intriguing to me. But then the more that we kind of learned about this Birds of Prey film, the trailers, the teasers, because this is the first trailer, but we've had a few teasers that have come out. They've been all right. And now we have this trailer. And I will say there are definitely elements of this trailer that I really liked. Everything with Harley Quinn and how she's separating herself from the Joker and she's making a name for herself and she's cutting off her hair and like that whole aspect of the story of her kind of defining her own existence, not as just a part of the Joker, but branching off into who she is in of herself. I think that's really interesting. I think that could make for a really fascinating movie. Now, within the trailer, we didn't get too much of a sense of the other Birds of Prey characters, who are characters I want to see, because if you're going to make a movie called Birds of Prey, and not just Harley Quinn, have the other characters be first and foremost as well. You know, it seemed like they're definitely playing second fiddle to Harley Quinn as a character. We got a little bit of a glimpse of Ian McGregor as Black Mask, and I love the character of Black Mask. And Ian McGregor is like a fantastic actor. So I'm very excited that he's in the movie. I wish we could have gotten to see a little bit more of his character and how he'll be portrayed. We didn't even get to see the mask in this trailer. But I think there are definitely strong elements in this trailer. There are also elements that didn't really work for me. Like I said, they didn't go enough into the other characters. It was just kind of like beating the drum of this one note through the whole trailer, and it didn't really show any other aspects that I'm hoping the film has surrounding that one beat. But we'll have to wait and see with other trailers. I'm still holding my breath for this one. You know, I think it could be good, and I'm excited for it. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how it all goes. We have another trailer that came out this week. Oh, and let me know your thoughts on the Birds of Prey trailer. I would like to hear it. Put it in the comment section below. But we did have another trailer that came out this week, and that is for Guy Ritchie's new film, The Gentleman. This stars Matthew McConaughey as a drug dealer, crime boss kind of figure. And what was really great about this trailer that I really liked is it really felt like Guy Ritchie going back to his roots as a filmmaker. It was very much the Snatch, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels kind of feel to his movies. It had that sort of pace. It had that tempo. It had that kind of like boom, boom, pow kind of feel to it, rhythm that those movies have. And Guy Ritchie has done some interesting things in the last few years. He's kind of branched out of that style that he started with. He did the Sherlock Holmes movies. He just made $1 billion, or he didn't make $1 billion, but his film made $1 billion with Aladdin. He's done some interesting projects that have really branched him outside of that sort of typecasting that you could have put him in with those two films. And now he's kind of hearkening back to it with this movie, The Gentleman. And I gotta say, this trailer, it was action-packed, it was visceral, it hit hard. I really enjoyed the trailer a lot. And I gotta say, like, Snatch is great. I'm not a huge fan of Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels. I think it's a very good movie, but I don't think it's as strong as Snatch. I'm very excited for this movie because I really hope it brings it back to those roots. I think it's going to be hard-hitting. I think it's going to be action-packed and visceral. I am very much looking forward to this, and I'm curious, what do you think? Did you have a chance to see the Gentleman trailer? Leave your thoughts on it in the comment section below. And now we move on to another segment of this show, and that is called Go or No Go. And how Go or No Go usually works is that new movies open up in theaters every week, and we have a chance to see them, and we talk about the films, discuss them a little bit, and then we ultimately say whether we think you should go, as in go see the movie, or no go, as in you can skip this movie, you don't really need a chance to see it. And the movie that we'll be talking about this week is Joker. I had a chance to go see Joker last night, and this is one that I've been looking forward to for a very, very long time. And I will be putting up a full spoiler-free review of Joker later, so I'll go into more in depth on my thoughts in there, and I'm sure at some point we will do a spoiler discussion about Joker. I will say first of all, I'll say I really like the movie. Second of all, I'll say I really need to see this movie again. Because now that I know the full arc of the film, now that I know exactly where it's going, I want to see it again to really appreciate and savor the smaller moments of the film. Joker is a character study on a man who is broken, who suffers inside his body and in his head, and at every chance where people could reach out to him to help him, people don't. People keep forgetting about him. Society has forgotten about him. He's been downtrodden this whole time, and it really establishes this sort of disparity between the rich and the poor, and with this sort of class conflict in this film, you really have a character like the Joker who can then rise up in these circumstances. Joaquin Phoenix is just brilliant in this movie. This is probably the best performance I've personally seen from him of all the movies of his that I have seen. He is phenomenal in this film. His performance is nuanced, it's layered, the physicality of it, when you look at how much weight he lost and how he kind of contorts his body, his walk, his posture, the physicality of his role is just fantastic. His laugh, and I will say, the backstory of his laugh that they have in this movie is excellent. I thought it was perfect. It was a great way to kind of adapt the character, bring something new to the character, something unique, something that other iterations of the character haven't done. And I thought it just only elevated the movie, and it really helped with this theme in the movie, that there's this ongoing theme of the idea of tragedy and comedy, and how they're linked, almost kind of presenting them in a yin-yang kind of idea. And his laugh is a great representation of the linking of comedy and tragedy. And if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. I think Joker is very good, but I think it's for a select audience. If you're going in looking for a big, explosive comic book movie like an Avengers Infinity War, you're not going to get it with Joker. Joker is a deep character study drama. It's nothing like any of those kinds of movies. It's no Justice League. It's no Avengers. It's no Ant-Man. It's nothing like that. I'd say of all the comic book movies, if you're not a fan of comic book movies, this is the comic book movie to see. Because it is so completely on its own, so completely different, and really only in namesake is it connected at all to anything DC related. So I'll say this. If you're looking for that kind of big explosive comic book movie, this isn't for you. If you're looking for something more mature, if you're looking for a Taxi Driver, King of Comedy kind of movie to it, I would say go see Joker. I ultimately will give Joker a go. But I do think you have to know what kind of movie Joker is and what you're getting yourself into before you go see it. Because I think if you go into this film expecting one thing or not prepared for the things that are in the movie, then you're going to have a very interesting, at best, experience. But I will give Joker ultimately a go. And that brings us to our titular topic here on the Movie Paradise Show. And what I really wanted to talk about with this episode. If you've been on the internet for the past, I don't know, maybe 3 months, then you've bound to hear about the controversy that's surrounding the Joker. Now, I've had thoughts on this, but I've been yet to share them. Because it's kind of hard, because all these thoughts about the movie, it's all about a movie that most people had not seen up until yesterday or the day before. And I didn't feel comfortable talking about the controversy surrounding the Joker when it pertains to the specific events within the film without having seen the movie myself. So I wanted to wait until I saw Joker before I really talked about this controversy that surrounds the movie. So now that I've seen it, and I'm not going to go into any spoilers on the film. This is going to be completely spoiler-free. Here's what I think about the controversy. So first of all, I'll say, the controversy that surrounds Joker is that a lot of people are saying that it kind of glorifies violence. That it makes you sympathetic to the character of Joker. In that he is a serial killer. He is this sort of representation of all these things that are wrong with society, and this movie is kind of propping him up as a hero in a way, and condoning what he does, and condoning his violence. And I'll say this. There is some merit to that, but there's also not merit to it. It's a little bit mixed. The movie does show this divide, and as I was talking about with Go No Go, this divide between the wealthy class of Gotham and the poor class of Gotham. And really, it shows how big of a divide there is. The rich keep on getting richer, the poor keep on getting poorer, and nobody helps anybody. It really takes its time to paint a society, a city, a culture, where there is a ton of indifference. People don't care about each other. There's no compassion. There's very little empathy. And I think within this setting, you have a character like the Joker, who, Arthur Fleck, who has been beaten down by everybody around him. Nobody extends a hand to help him. And those who do, it's not a complete, total help with helping him in his situation. He doesn't receive the help that he needs. And I think the question has to be asked, if the Joker, or if Arthur Fleck received the help that he actually needed, would he actually go on to do the things that he does? That's a question to ask yourself when watching this movie. But I think the point that the movie's trying to make is that society isn't helping the Joker. Nobody's extending their hand to help somebody in need. And when you constantly are being beaten down and kept in this one level, there's only a certain way that that character is going to go. That character is going to evolve and change and reach a new point. And so the movie presents itself in a way where I wouldn't say the Joker is the hero, even though they even at one point mention that. But I think for characters within this world that they create, the Joker can be seen as a hero. That he can be seen as a symbol. And they definitely make this point to make the Joker character seem like a symbol. He can be seen as a symbol for bridging that gap between the rich and the poor. Because in this movie, there's a lot of people who are poorer. People who are more unfortunate. Who haven't gotten the help that they need. And they look to someone like the Joker as a hero. Now, in that context, in that film, where this is the world that the movie is presenting, that these are the characters that the movie is presenting, does that necessarily mean that and I've always said this before because we've had issues in movies before where characters will say things, movies will depict things, and people, audience members conflate what happens in a movie with the views or the intentions of the filmmakers. To which I have always said, you have to separate... Now, granted, there are definitely exceptions to this. But in a larger sense, you have to separate the art from the artist. Just because a movie shows something does not mean that the artist who crafted that, who created that, necessarily believes in or condones that action. That's not necessarily the case. And so, a movie that shows... let's take a look at John Wick for an example. John Wick, in the John Wick movies, goes out and kills lots of people. Does that mean that Keanu Reeves condones that Keanu Reeves believes if someone's dog is killed, that you should go out and kill a whole bunch of people? No, I don't think Keanu Reeves believes that. Nor do I think director Chad Stahelski believes that. They're simply telling a story, showing a world, sharing a story, and characters. That's all that they're doing. Just because they're the ones presenting the movie, creating the movie, crafting the film, does not mean that that necessarily is their worldview, that that's what they condone. And I think a lot of filmmakers make movies where they don't agree with their characters. That they don't side with the philosophies and the worldviews of the characters that they're showing, that they're creating, that they're presenting. Because a lot of films are made, a lot of darker films are made as cautionary tales. To show us what we shouldn't be, who we shouldn't be, what we shouldn't do. And it's by showing the wrong thing that we are to take away what the right thing is. And I think it's a mistake to assume that anything that happens in a movie is condoned by, shared by the filmmaker who made that movie. So I think when we look at Joker, yes, in the context of this film, the Joker becomes the hero for a group of people. And he does have a worldview and a message and an idea that is a dangerous one. Because ultimately it is, nobody cares about you, so let's rise up and kill people. That's what it is. Now, I can see, like, if that was to be taken and put into our real world, that's a dangerous philosophy, absolutely. And there are going to be, you can't control the fact that there are going to be people who are in a dangerous spot, who might watch this movie, and that resonates with them. But that's not really within the control of the people who make the film. They're simply making a movie. They're just simply telling a story. And if that resonates with somebody on that level, on that dangerous level, because it resonated with me in terms that I enjoyed the movie and I enjoyed watching this unfold and I enjoyed what was happening. That's how it resonated with me. If there's someone else who's disturbed who watches the film and that resonates with them in terms that they're like, yeah, I just saw Joker, now I want to go kill a bunch of people. That's not really the movie's fault because there was already something there that could be that turning point for somebody. No, I didn't make this up, but somebody else pointed out, which I think is a very good thing to keep in mind. Nobody who wouldn't have gone to that place, been capable of such disturbing things, would watch the movie and go, yeah, you know what? I had no intention of killing anybody before, but I just saw Joker. And you know what? That makes me really want to go butcher a bunch of people. That doesn't happen. Anybody who takes away something from Joker that they should go out and kill people is using Joker as an excuse for something that they've already had inside of them. So, yes, there is some merit to what the movie, to this kind of concern surrounding the movie. Because the movie in itself, in the worldview that it presents, in the world that it presents, in the context of this story, it does kind of prop up Joker as a hero in that world. But that world is not our world. And that does not mean that the filmmakers are saying that the Joker is a hero in our world. That we should resonate with the Joker's ideas or his actions or anything like that. I reject the notion that filmmakers only have to tell good stories about good people. I reject the notion that just because a filmmaker puts something dark or disturbing in their film, that means that they condone it. So I think the biggest thing to take away from this Joker controversy is that just watch the movie. I really think that's the ultimate thing. People have been arguing on the internet for months about a movie that nobody has seen, other than the critics. And I think it was just in some reviews, a couple of critics made a couple of points saying that they were worried that maybe incel people would watch this movie and see it as a reason to rise up. Yeah, some reviewers did say that. And specifically, reviewers did say that. And I can see why they would have said that in their review, but it's been so overblown by people who hadn't even seen the movie on the internet. So now the movie's out there. Go see the film for yourself. And I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on this whole controversy that we've been dealing with for the past few months. Now that you've seen the movie, what are your thoughts? And that was the topic of our question of the week. Now, on Instagram, we do a question of the week every week where the basic concept of it is that the main topic of the Movie Paradise show. I posed a question to you guys on Instagram to see what you guys think. And we do have the results here on Instagram. So the question of the week that I proposed to you all was this, as I bring it up. I said, having seen the Joker controversy, or having seen the Joker movie now, is the whole controversy surrounding it warranted, and the options where it has merit or it is overblown? And the results are 29% say it has merit and 71% say it's overblown. And my answer is somewhat in the middle. It does have some merit. It does have some merit. But I think it has been overblown by the people who had not seen the movie yet. And so, but I do think the root of it, where it all came from, some people talking about some things in their reviews, I think that does have some merit. So before we close out the show today, we're going to take a quick look at the chat, see who we got in there. And co-host Rob Giganto joins us and says he's got time for one question. If someone asks you, what's a movie I should watch that'll make me fall in love with movies, what would you tell them? That's a really good question, Rob. What's a movie that would make you fall in love with movies? I'm going to go The Shawshank Redemption. Because The Shawshank Redemption, it's not my number one favorite movie of all time. It is in my top 5. But that is a movie that really just shows the art of filmmaking. It's about characters and story and problems and the way that it presents it all. It really is filmmaking at its finest. And there's such great ideas in the film. And while it's about tragedy and heartbreak and pain, as you have people in jail for decades and decades, it's also about hope and love and empathy and compassion. There's so much going on in that movie. The characters are so great. The performances are great. The writing is just brilliant. The themes are visceral. It works so well all the way around. That is a movie that I think if you watch The Shawshank Redemption, and if you like it, because there are definitely going to be some people who don't like The Shawshank Redemption, because not every movie's for everyone. But I think if you watch The Shawshank Redemption, that's a movie that will make you fall in love with film. And that's going to do it today for this installment of the Movie Paradise Show. I want to give a shout out to Matt Smith, who's been working the switcher on there. Thanks, Matt, for joining us today. And thank you